Welcome everybody to my latest video. So for this video, I'm actually going to take you on a step-by-step journey or process as I replace the shooter rod on my Elvira's House of Horrors pinball machine. So you saw the shooter rod. Here it is. This is officially the rod released by Stern. I saw it, definitely wanted to get it. I already know there's some things I don't like about it, and I'll go over those probably during this video. However, I'm actually going to take you through the entire process of replacing it. And what I mean is, I'm not just going to focus on this. I'm going to show you how to lift your playfield, how to remove the glass, how to get access, and this part of the video will probably be cut and released on its own, and then it will be added to this particular video. Kind of hard to explain. Eventually, if you watch all my videos, you'll understand. Now, first things first. This video or these videos may be considered long, and what I mean by that is if you are a pinball pro, in terms of fixing your games, if you already know how to do these things, if you've owned pinballs for quite some time and you do all your own maintenance, this video is not for you. This video will be considered very amateur, child-like in terms of understanding. It is not for someone who actually knows how to do all this stuff. The purpose of this video or these videos is for someone who's considering getting a pinball machine, for someone who wants to know exactly what they would need to do, for someone who has never done it before and wants to see if it's worth their time and putting in the investment of their time into doing this particular process or processes. So yeah, if you've been a long time follower of mine, look, this video is already going like over 2 minutes. You'll know when I used to deal with arcades and how to fix things. Those particular videos, again, I stated, if you were already in the hobby, you knew what to do, the video wasn't for you. It was for people who are new. And that's how this video is going to be. So, yeah, just take caution. It might be a long video, it might be a series of videos, I don't know. I'm just going to take my time. So, sit back, relax, and yeah, whatever. Alright everybody, so you want to get access to either do some maintenance to your pinball machine or replace a part, maybe replace the shooter rod. The first thing you need to do is, well, your goal is to get access to the inside of the machine. But you got to go through some steps in order to do that. So, the first thing you'll want to do is you're going to have to remove your lockdown bar. How do you do that? So this process should be good for newer machines. It should be roughly the same if you have some older machines, so just take precaution. So the first thing you need to do is unlock your lockdown bar. Now, how it's locked down, this particular one has 2 latches. There's one here, there's one over here. My Pirates of the Caribbean has a different way to lock it down, and as you can see, it has one bar here that you just move and lift up. So, depending on what machine you have will depend on how you need to unlock said lock bar. Let's go back to this one. So, there's one latch. Where's my other one? You know what, there we go. There's latch number 2. Notice I close the door. There's a reason for that. Now, you're going to next remove your lockdown bar. I mean, physically remove it. Here's the thing. I highly recommend that you be very, very cautious. The reason being, and this one I don't have to worry too much about, Let me just put my lockdown bar over here. Some machines, such as my Pirates of the Caribbean, when I remove the lockdown bar, the glass just comes sliding out. In fact, when I'm removing this bar, if I'm not there, the glass will come down and shatter on the floor. I don't want that. This one, you can see I'm not even near it and I'm perfectly fine. Still, always best to take precaution. Usually what I do is I'll have my lockdown bar, just place it underneath the pinball machine. Easy to do. Next thing you need to do is actually remove your glass top. How do you do that? Simple. It just slides out. Real simple. Slides out. And there you go. Now, here's an important step. Where do you put your glass? Some people will put them on the floor. Some people will put them on top of another pinball machine. They'll put like a sheet or a blanket on top of another machine. I personally put it right here on one of my chairs. Now, the reason I don't put it on the floor is I have heard, and it depends on temperature, some people have told stories how they would put it on the floor and for whatever reason the glass would just shatter. Maybe the edge of the glass top, got placed on top of a pebble, which was on top of the concrete, and, one thing led to another, boom. So, my recommendation is put it on a nice, secure, soft spot. Again, I just put it on my chair. Whenever I'm working on my machine, I have to tell people, hey, don't sit there. They understand why. All right, so the next thing you want to do is you want to remove your pinballs. Now, you may be wondering why. Well, what happens is if you raise your playfield a little too high, the pinballs will actually come out of here by themselves, get into, the section right here of your playfield, and they will roll down and hit the back of your playfield, possibly causing damage somewhere. This happened to me when I had my Deadpool pinball machine. I totally forgot to take the pinballs out. I raised the playfield. One of them came out and smacked right in the back of the playfield against the far wall. Luckily, no damage occurred. But when you figure on your machine some of the toys that you have, or maybe even your screen or the back glass, you just don't want to take any precaution. Or that sounded totally wrong. You don't want to take any chances. You want to take extra precaution. So how do you get the pinballs out? Do you have to turn on the machine? No. Side note, some people recommend that you totally disconnect the power of your machine before you work on anything that has to do with the playfield. I personally don't follow that rule. I just make sure the machine is off. You do as you please. So, how do you get the pinballs out? Real easy. Let me show you. That's it. What did I do? Well, I'll show you once I actually lift the playfield. So give me a second. I'm going to get all these pinballs out and we'll proceed to the next step. Alright, so we got all of our pinballs out. I will show you specifically how I got those out, what I did. But the next step we want to focus is actually lifting the playfield. How do you do that? What you're going to do is you're going to grab the center right here. Now, in some cases, you got to be careful of where you put your palm and how you handle it, because if you look here, this is my Elvira. There's nothing in the middle except a picture, a place card. Whereas my Pirates has a mini LCD screen. Now, you can see it's got a rail protector right there also, but even though it's different, it's for the most part the same. So you're going to grab right here and just lift up. Real simple. Now, if you notice, you got these brackets right here for your playfield. Additionally, well, crap. In case you were wondering, my little pop Elvira fell. Didn't cause any damage. These things, it's really, really light. So, where was I? Oh, yes. You got these brackets right here, and it's designed that way. What you're going to do is you lift your playfield up, you're going to bring it as far back as it'll go, and you'll notice that it's going to stop. Well, that's because it hit a step on some rails that are on the inside. Now, before I proceed any further, let me show you what I did to get the pinballs out. And right there, this is the bad boy that kicks your pinballs out into the section it needs to go to. So when that sucker activates, it actually pushes a pinball up and it pops out here into the lane. What did I do? All I did, get right here towards the bottom, push it up. See how it goes? That's it. You gotta put a little tiny bit of force, that way the ball actually pops up into the guide lane, but you don't want to just slam the hell out of it. Alright, so back to getting the playfield. You lifted it up, you pulled it as far back as it will go, and it stopped. What you're going to do is get it and pull it more. Again, my pop just fell. Alright, so right there, you can see this was the supporting bracket, and right here there's a little rubber step, a foot. I'm not sure what you want to call it. I don't know the technical term and I don't remember. But yeah, you can rest that right there, and as you can see, your playfield is out and it's nice and comfortably sitting. Now, if you can work on what you need to work on in the current position, you're fine. However, what if you need to work on something that's towards the end of the playfield and you need to get to the underside? Well, that's the next step. Alright, so you need to get further into the back of the playfield on the underside. What do? What you're going to do is you're going to lift your playfield out and set it against the back of your back box right there. How do you do that? Simple. You just grab a hold of those brackets, lift it up, and I'll try and show you what I'm doing just so you can get a basic idea. Lift it up, pull it as far forward as it'll go. You don't want to yank it, you're going to come to a stop. Then, slowly, see my hands right here. Hopefully it's getting on film. And you're going to slowly go to the back. All right now you're probably thinking, what the heck? Why didn't it come crashing down? Something's, missing? Some information? Not really. All right, so here you got your playfield. Right here, there's a little, not a lip, let's just call it a stop. And there's one on each side of the playfield. And that is why you initially want to pull your playfield all the way back, so that when you lift it and put it towards the back of the cabinet, you got that right there. It's nice and secure. All right, so there you are. Now you got access to the underside of your playfield. You can see it's leaning back against the back box. That's what I call it. And you also got easy access to the inside. And that's all you need to do. So, not much more. Pretty much if you want to put everything back, you just do everything in reverse order. In fact, maybe I'll record a video, partial video showing how I put everything back. But who knows? So, for right here, if you have any questions, let me know. Alright everybody, so I got my playfield moved up into the back of the cabinet. I got my glass off, obviously. So now we're going to proceed with replacing the shooter rod. Here it is again. We'll take it out of the bag. Now what's nice about this shooter rod is it actually comes with this little face piece right here. Usually when I buy a shooter rod, it only comes with the actual rod itself and the hardware. This one looks like they want you to replace everything, which is still nice. Here we could get a close-up. Now the one thing I don't like about this is the placement of the head. And what I mean by that is when it's installed into the cabinet, you got the head facing up. I personally think the skull should have been attached to the rod rather than the underside of the neck. Or the back of the head should have been attached to the rod so that you're either pulling it out like that or like that. But there's nothing we can do, so yeah. Alright, so for this particular shooter rod, I'm lucky enough to just have to remove some screws that are over here and take the whole unit out. However, you might not be so lucky, especially if you're getting a third-party shooter rod replacement. So, in that case, you might not have the luxury of taking the whole unit out, and you'll just have to actually take out the rod itself. So, how do you do that? Well, there's a couple things you're going to have to do. First thing is you have to remove the protective tip. This goes on right here. This is what bangs against your pinballs, and because of this rubber tip, this edge right here, it doesn't cause any damage physically to your pinballs. Now, if you go to a machine that's been in use for 24 years, this thing will look pretty gnarly. They might even be gone, and people use like tape or something. So get this off. These can be pretty much stuck on there. You might have to cut it off. You might have to get some pliers and force it off, but no biggie. These are also very, very cheap to replace. All right. Next thing you need to do, there is a C-clip right here at the edge. What you need to do is to remove that clip, and be careful, because once you do, this little metal washer right here is going to want to pop out. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it, and we'll get to the next part. Alright, so I got the clip off, and as you can see, the spring wants to shoot out. This was the metal washer, and this was the clip. So now that we got that taken care of, the rest is pretty simple. All you do is remove your spring and then pull out your handle. And the way everything fits in is like so. You got this spring which goes up against this side, You got this spring, which goes up against the inside. And you got the washer, which I just now dropped on the floor. But yeah, the washer goes there, and your clip goes into that notch right there. So really, not hard at all. Alright, the next step is pretty simple. We're going to remove our screws 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's go ahead and do that, and the rest should be really simple. Alright guys, so I misspoke. It's not 5 screws you had to remove, it was only 3. And attached to this side was another washer. So, what you're looking at after you remove everything is basically like that. Alright, so now I'm going to install the new one. Alright, so we got our new complete shooter rod assembly, and we're just going to put it in there, tighten the screws, and we should be good to go. Now, do you have to remove this part from your cabinet? No, I mean, I guess if you get the shooter rod, you can just remove the shooter rod from here and then install this on your cabinet. Hold on. I just noticed something. But yeah, you can do like that, but you'll have to remove the tip right here. And that's because the tip won't go through there. But why bother? Now, what did I just notice? It's maybe because it's the extra weight, but this one actually feels more sturdier than this old one. I don't know. So yeah, we just install this right through here. Tighten everything down and we're good to go. So let me get to that. Okay, so here we are. The shooter rod has been installed. The screws, somewhat easy to put back in. One thing you need to watch out for is if you have the shooter rod already installed, this screw right here could be a pain in the ass. So you might have to actually pull the rod. That way you have enough room to work with the screw itself. But yeah, everything's in. There you go. If you have any questions, let me know. Looks a little blurry there. Until next time.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.